We have talked a little bit about block elements before, but let's now dig deeper into the topic. So, there are two types of display values, block and inline. A block level element always starts on a new line and occupies the full width available. An inline element is different from a block element. It only takes up space bounded by those tags. The P tag is a block level element. Whenever we use this tag, the P tag, we'll always find our text on the next line. The B tag is an inline level element and is used to mark or highlight any text. Okay, now suppose you have this window. In this window we have what we call the inline elements and the block elements. What you need to understand is that inline elements are laid out horizontally, while block elements are laid out vertically by default. An example of an inline element is a simple sentence like an H1 text. And an example of a block element is a paragraph. Let's see the type of elements that are present in HTML5. Here you can see the list of elements. The highlighted elements in blue have been discussed in previous lectures, and the others are yet to be discussed. Welcome to this new lecture on inline elements and block elements. As you can see on the screen in front of you, we have tags on the left hand side of the screen which represent inline elements, and tags on the right hand side of the screen which represent block elements. What are inline elements? As discussed before, inline elements are those elements that occupy a place according to their content width. And what are block elements? A block level element is an HTML element that begins a new line on a web page and that consumes the whole width. It creates large blocks of content like paragraphs or page divisions. Alright, so the tags highlighted in blue have already been discussed in previous lectures. The tags highlighted in red have also been discussed when we explained the topic of HTML forms. Let's now explain the remaining tags. Some of them are not that important, but still, it can be interesting for you to understand how these tags work. Okay, so let's start off by explaining inline tags. ABBR tags. We can make any type of abbreviation by using this tag. Acronym tag. It does not support HTML5. It only supports HTML4, so it's just for your general information that I've put it here. BDO tag, it stands for bidirectional override. It is used to override the current text direction. This means that you can revert your text. Don't worry if this sounds abstract to you. We will now go to VS Code and see how these tags work. Okay, so first I'll use the ABBR tag, and now I write something like www, as it stands for World Wide Web. I'll save it and I check the result in my browser. Here you go, you can see the result. You can also use the acronym tag, but it does not support HTML5. Now, I'll use the BDO tag. I write something like hello world, then save it. I check the result in my browser. Okay, let me now change the direction of the text by writing RTL here. RTL stands for right to left. And here you go. As you can see, I changed the direction of the text by specifying the direction in the dir attribute of the BDO tag. These tags are not that commonly used, but they still can be helpful sometimes. Now I'm back in my list of tags. Here you can view more tags on your screen. Big tag is used to change the size of the text. It is smaller than the heading size and bigger than the small tag. It lies in between these two tags. Button tag, it's used to make buttons. We can also modify them in CSS and make creative buttons. Site tag, it defines the title of a creative work, for example a book, a poem, a song, a movie, or a painting, etc. Code tag, it's used to define a piece of computer code, and the content inside it is displayed in the browser by default using the monospace font. DFN tag, it stands for definition element, and it specifies a term that's going to be defined within the content. The nearest parent of the DFN tag must also contain the definition for the term inside DFN. Okay, let's now go to VS Code and see how all of these tags work. Okay, so here I am in VS Code. I will first use the big tag. I will write some random text in it. Let's say hello everyone. Now I check the result in the browser, and as you can see, the font size of the text is somehow bigger than usual. Next, I use the button tag and write click here, and here you go, we get our button. For now, don't worry about the design. You will be able to create much more beautiful buttons once you start learning about CSS. Okay, so now I'll use the site tag and write some content in it. And as you can see, this is written in the italic font and will help our page in the search engine optimization. Okay, next, I'll use the code tag and will type something in it. Let's say Ctrl+K. I save the file and check the result in my browser. And here you go, as you can see, the result is in a different font. You can also use it with a button tag to make it stand out. And here you go, we have our button. Okay, let's now go back to our list of tags. KBD tag. The KBD tag is used to define keyboard input. The content inside it is displayed in the browser's default monospaced font. Var tag. This is used to define variables in programming or in a mathematical expression. The content inside it is typically displayed in italic. The Q tag is used to designate that the enclosed text is a short quotation. The browser will insert a quotation mark around the quotation. Samp tag is used to define a sample output from a computer program. Script tag is used to make any type of script. The select tag helps us to select anything. It's also useful in forms. Alright, let's now have a look at these tags in VS Code. So first, I'll use the KBD tag and write some text in it. I'll press plus and insert the same tag and text again. And here you go, we have our output. I'll now use the var tag and add some content in it. I check the result in the browser, and here you go, we have our output. As discussed before, these tags are only used for specific purposes, which is to make the SEO of the website better. If you forgot what SEO means, it simply stands for search engine optimization. It's the process of making your site better for search engines. Okay, next I use the Q tag and I write some text in it, and here you go, we have our output. The text is in the form of a quotation. Next, I'll use the samp tag. I've written some content in it, and here you go, we have our output. You can see that it has a different font. Let's now use the select tag. I write options in it in order to use the option tag. Let's copy paste this line. Then I add different options here for the user to choose from: country, iPhone, Samsung, and so on. I go to my browser to check the output. And here you go, we have our output. The user can choose whichever option they want. Now, I'll use the span tag. It is an inline tag and we use it to modify text or paragraphs. In other words, we use it to group or apply styles to inline elements. Time tag, it is used to show time in any content or paragraph. Alright, let's now have a practical look at these tags in VS Code. Here I will write lorem in paragraph form. Then I write a span tag to select this specific line. Then I add a time tag here. I save the file, and here you go, we have our output. It's not showing any special design, but don't worry about designs for now. Just don't worry about it. once you start studying CSS, you will be more proficient when it comes to designs. Alright, and now on to block tags. So the tags that we will see here are the following. Field set tag, it's used to create a box around the content. And the field set box can be created with this tag. Fig caption tag, this represents a caption or legend describing the rest of contents of its parent element. Figure tag, it's used to write content in figures. In other words, the HTML figure tag is used to define an independent container which can contain images, illustrations, and drawings. Footer tag, it's used to define the bottom part of our website. Alright, let's now have a practical look at these tags in VS Code. First, I'll use the field set tag and write some text in it. Check the result in the browser, and as you can see, the result is in a box form. Now, I'll use the fig caption tag and will write some text in it. You can check the result in the browser, and as you can see, we don't really see a major difference in the text. In fact, some HTML tags are not that important or necessary, but they nevertheless exist. Next, I'll use the figure tag and add some content in it. And here you go, we have our output. We can also use a text form if we want, but the figure tag specifies that we have some self-contained content. Next, let's discuss the footer tag. It has no specific function, it's only used to identify the footer section. Okay, so now if you go back to our list of tags, we have header tag, similar to the footer tag. It has no specific function, it only helps in identifying the upper part of the content. H group tag, it's used to group the heading elements. The H group is used to wrap one or more heading elements from H1 to H6, such as headings and subheadings, and it requires the starting tag as well as the ending tag. HR tag, HR stands for horizontal rule. It's used to divide the content into sections. It's done through a horizontal rule or line that is formed at the bottom of the section. Main tag, it specifies the main content of the website for search engine optimization purposes. Okay, then we have the nav tag, it's used for navigating through the header part of the content. Then we have the pre tag, it defines pre-formatted text. Text in a pre-tag element is displayed in a fixed width font, and the text preserves both spaces and line breaks. Alright, let's now have a practical look at these tags in VS Code. Firstly, I'll use a heading tag and other tags in it. I'll copy paste this and will change the tag's name. I check the result in the browser, and as you can see, we don't really see something special or extraordinary. But despite that, behind the scenes, the group of headings was formed. That's the main purpose of the H group tag. Now I'll use the header tag. It only identifies the heading of the content. Here you can see in the browser that these fonts are almost similar. So now I'll use the HR tag here, and as you can see, there is a line that appeared between the above and below content. They are separated with the help of the HR tag. Then we have the main tag, which is used to show the main part of the content. Similarly, if we use a section tag, it will identify the sections of your website, whether it is a blog section or any other content. Next, I will use the pre tag, write lorem in it. I save the file, I go to my browser, and here you go, we have our output. As you can see, there is just a font difference. Alright folks, we went over all the tags you might use while building your page, whether it is inline elements or block elements. As you may have noticed, some of these tags are very useful, while others are not that helpful. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve and how you plan to do it.